Hey guys, I'm James, a composer based on the south coast of the UK, and welcome to a spooky behind the scenes video. Thanks for watching and thanks for telling a friend. So in my work with MELON, we've done some pretty cool experiences so far, and most recently we've done one for Chipotle, their Burrito 2021 experience, and you can play that experience as at time of recording now by going to the link below and checking it out. Just bear in mind that if you're watching this video later on, you might not be able to access all of the offers and parts of the experience that are available. So they asked me to come up with a spooky, playful soundtrack for this experience, and I'm going to take you behind the scenes and explain to you how I did that. Let's dive in. So I've got the project up for us to have a look at in a second. Let's just talk a little bit about context. So what I would normally do is play you the tracks now and we'd have a listen through together. Rather than do that, they're in a different video. So I'm going to put the link in the description below so you can go listen to the whole thing. So it's there. And that's the first thing about part of the brief for this, because that's what you get at the start of all these projects. We get a brief. It should sound like this. It should sound like this. And we wanted to have 3 tracks for this that kind of loop in and out of each other. So it's kind of similar and it's the same, but you're not necessarily hearing exactly the same thing so often. You're getting a little bit of variation. And the big part of the brief here was nothing too scary. It just wants to be a little bit spooky. It needs to be fun. It needs to be playful. And they gave me a reference track, which is one of my own tracks anyway, which is why I pulled up this orchestral template, because I knew this has all the instruments already ready for what I want to do. So I can just start experimenting and playing around. So there are 2 instruments that really made this for me, and I guess everyone's got their own view of what spooky music is, and it all has to do with what we listened to growing up. So if you were to ask my son what his ideal spooky music is, or what he thinks is spooky music, he'll probably say something from like Luigi's Mansion or a game similar to that. If you ask me, a lot of my kind of Halloween music that I've experienced or spooky music comes from Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes and growing up kind of watching those, and everyone's got their idea. So there's kind of classic what we would call, I guess, cliche instruments, and there's 2 of them that we're going to use here. So the first one that I've got in here that I think is really cool, and we really wanted to get it in, and it was one of the sound effects that was included in the reference, is the Theremin. And this is Adam Moreau's Theremin. It's really simple. You can tune it up, tune it down, change the sample rate, put more vibrato, do all kinds of stuff. So you can make it slide. It's that kind of quintessential. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. And that is a classic kind of spooky sound. That's been around, since the 50s in sci-fi movies, spooky movies, all that kind of stuff. So we know we definitely wanted to have that in there. And you can see that crops up quite a lot. It's not like overused, but it's in there, it's happening. And not only have I put it in, I've got a little bit of automation to adjust the volume to just keep an eye in there. So that's the first kind of real cliche one that you hear. The other one, and there's a lot of it in this, because I think from what I remember, the conversations, one of the things the client came back with was they wanted more organ. Is we've got all of these kind of organ tracks in here. Now, the organ that I'm using is actually free. It's not a sample library that you need to pay for, and it's by Orchestral Tools. It's their Crucible free church organ. Okay, and if I bring it down onto the screen here, we can then see what's going on with it. So we've got it in here, and if I click on it just for a second, you can see you've got some mic options, and then you've got some sustain, some staccato with full organ, then a lighter organ, and you've got the pedals. And that's what I really like about this. There are other really good free organs as well, but this one actually gives you some kind of different textures, some light and shade that you can add in, and that's what's really happened here. Let's just listen to some of the organ stuff that is in here. Let's pick on this one. So you can see we get that kind of light and shade mixing between the pedals and the manuals. And the other little instrument that we've got in there as well is a Celeste that's playing this kind of bells like movement that we've got. You know, it's the classic. Most people know it from Harry Potter. Yeah, most people know it from that, but it's a really versatile instrument and it just cuts through on some things, particularly on some of those melodies. So that's how we're getting that kind of sound. We've got those organs, we've got that cutting through. Then in terms of, let's look at the percussion because it's next on our list. We've not got much going on here. We've got some bells, xylophone and vibraphone. Again, the xylophone particularly, I think, is a cliche thing. Lots of times you tend to see skeletons, you tend to hear xylophones and that kind of thing. I guess it's the classic joke of cartoons where you see people playing like skeleton kind of xylophones and stuff like that. For me, that's another little kind of classic sound. And again, all these guys are kind of doing is doubling each other and adding to little ends and tails of melodies. Let's have a listen. So it's nothing too much. It's just a little bit of tag and tail in on certain things. So no real drums, no nothing like that on there. And then we've got some woodwinds in here. We've got quite a lot of woodwind stuff going on. So for me personally, as a composer, I like to have separate lines of instruments so I can really orchestrate everything, okay? That said, though, I have got in this, I'm using a lot of pre-orchestrated patches from Spitfire Audio's Albion 1 and Spitfire Audio's Neo collection, just because the turnaround on some of these projects is so quick. For me to create something might take a little bit longer. I can just dive in. I know exactly what I want to do. I can get it there, and then I can really highlight the melodies with these solo instruments. So we've got some oboes in here. We've got some clarinet, specifically bass clarinet for the most part in this. We've got some bassoon, and then we've got our kind of mixed patches. So we've got these kind of shorts. That are kind of pre-orchestrated. And then we've got these ones as well. So we've got the Albion 1 ones and the Albion Neo ones there. And they're really, really great. If we listen to what we're doing with these, I've got melody and then accompaniment in these. So here's a bit of melody. And then if we shuffle forward, we've then got this kind of bouncy, playful movement. And the other thing they're great for as well, low down, some of these is just tailing little ends of melodies. And then little run-ins back to where we want to get to. Which is really great. And they're just pre-orchestrated, ready to go. They're there. That's that. Bassoon's a really great addition to this. I absolutely love using bassoon in stuff like this. And I think that's the thing. Some people will be like, well, hang on, you had that melody in your kind of orchestrated stuff. Yep, but I really want it to carry through and really accent the timbre of the bassoon. So I've just got the bassoons there doing their shorts as well. And that's a solo one. So that's our woodwinds. So let's just take the solos off so we're not getting confused. Let's put them out of the way. And the other really important bit in this is the strings. There's a lot of strings, and I'm using Audio Ollie's Nashville scoring strings in this. I really love it. That said, it does take a little bit of getting used to. It's a little bit different in the way that it works to some other sample libraries, but if you're going to dive into something for strings, I really recommend it. It's really great. So I have mine laid out in sections. I've got my violins here. And I've got violins A and B to simulate violins 1 and violins 2 in the section. I've then got my violas down here. I've then got my cellos. I then have some basses. And then if I need it, I've got whole ensembles as well, which I've got in a couple of particular places just for particular effects. And one of the things that keeps making these things kind of playful, bouncy, spooky is this really important, this pizzicato in the bass. So that technique where we're really plucking the strings. If you take that and then you start putting in what we've put in the cellos, then we get these offbeats and it starts becoming something a little bit more playful. And that's essentially what that's doing. The other really kind of, I guess you would say, cliche sound that comes into this, and I think we put it in a few times, particularly when stuff is building up, is the kind of tremolo strings here. So tremolo, this fast moving the bow across the strings, it comes in this particular, this one. So that wonderful moment where we've got this kind of organ switch here, the tremolo comes in as we build through all these diminished chords. And that really helps enhance what's going on. And that essentially is our kind of cliche sounds. And the other thing that you'll kind of see, if we get this back to a more manageable amount, the other key thing in this is really sort of having a structure and a go round for it. In a situation like this, where we're writing for an experience, there's a lot going on. You know, we don't want the music to necessarily overtake and take away from the experience. At the same time, we don't want to keep bombarding the user with loads and loads of different sounds for them to listen to. So structure and having that common thing that we've had before coming back is really important. So you can kind of see organ and woodwinds come in and you can kind of see the gaps where theremin and stuff goes away. The other key thing about these is, and this happens a lot in video game music, where we've got to loop things together. We have a very common, at the start and stop of all these situations, we have exactly the same little motif. And what that allows the guys to do when they're putting the music into the final stage of the program is just leaf it together so it always fits. Even though our second track is different from our first track and different from our third track, there's something common that allows it to bring it together. There's loads of different ways that you can do that, but in this case it's just real quick, real simple to just have same little theme that creeps up every now and again. So I think that gives you a really basic overview of how we created the spooky music for this. I really hope you enjoyed the tracks. If you do, or you've got more questions about this, drop some comments below. I'll try and answer the questions. Don't forget to go play the experience. If you have enjoyed what I talked about, don't forget to drop a like, drop a subscribe so you can catch up with any other comments. I'll see you on the next one.